Hello, and welcome to our very first segment of Creative Coffee Chat. I am Kat, the artist and founder of Create Magazine, and I'm here today with Gita. Gita, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, great to be here. My first Substack live, so this is exciting. Thank you for inviting me. If you don't know me already, my name is Gita Joshi. I run the Curator Salon platform, and also includes Art Scene Magazine, a podcast, and various other resources.
Yes, amazing to have you here. So excited. So, full disclosure, this is an experiment and we're not even sure if we are live. I think we might be recording, but either way, we just wanted to start this series and, of course, have Gita come back again if we're not live, if anyone wants to join us and chat. But the intention behind this is to have casual conversations with the people in our community that are inspiring me, that are a big part of my platform, and of course, doing exciting things for the art community and the creative business space. So I'm very excited to kick the things off with Gita. And first of all, I just want to ask Gita, what has been inspiring you lately? What's getting you out of bed in the morning? What's lighting you up?
I think from a business perspective, it is really getting some clarity around the next program that I'm going to be launching in August. So it is not a traditional program where you just learn and have a lot of knowledge. It's actually what I'm calling an implementation studio. So it's really working alongside the people that enroll to actually get some traction in their business. So it's very much around art sales. So that means we're not going to be talking about showing and exhibiting or gallery representation. It's very much about building those foundations of your own business, getting some depth in that, and understanding how to actually communicate your work and sell. So that has been exciting. And then, as you know, I only started on Substack earlier this year. I think it was, I don't know, January, February. So I'm getting in my stride with that. And I have a monthly little audio series, which is giving me space to really talk about something that's a big part of my life, the spiritual, energetics, the mindset part of things. So really in that audio series, so I did a series for June and we just finished the one for July a couple of days ago.
Mm.
Um, that is, yeah, I mean, that's just a part of my day-to-day life. And I think having a platform to be able to talk about that and how that feeds and supports us in having any kind of business or just a life, really, that spiritual backbone, remembering that we are more than our experiences, more than the work and the output, and just having that sort of connection to something bigger and higher has been really satisfying. So finding an output for that in these mini, like they're a week long little audio series, is quite exciting. But you've been on Substack for like what, a year now? So how has your journey been?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I so agree. Just to quickly kind of respond to what you just shared, I think so many times, and I'm guilty of this, we get caught up in the do and the tech and the business and the career. And you're right, there is something so much bigger than us. Even just thinking about our breath, right? Like we don't control how our body digests food and processes oxygen. And it's like a miracle of life that there is something bigger than us. And I think leaning into that, as artists, we naturally do that anyway. We are drawn to something beyond ourselves that channels through us. So I really love that you're exploring this and reminding us to step away from the sort of the nitty gritty how to's and, expand. And it also helps with mental health as well, knowing that, the weight of the world is not on your shoulders. There are, whatever you believe in, whatever your faith system is, I think just leaning into that is so beautiful. And in terms of Substack, yes, if the founders of Substack are listening, thank you for creating this platform. I've been having a blast. I've been learning a lot. And shout out to Amy from Lazy Millionaire. I've been doing her challenge and I invested in that in the past 30 days and we've grown quite a bit. So the growth on Substack is very interesting. It's so like small compared to Instagram, but it seems so much more meaningful and in depth. And I think it's a great platform for anyone creative, writers, designers, artists. And I even see what I like about Substack is like I see people who are not necessarily an artist, but sharing a lot of creative content like color palettes and fashion spreads and things that I just don't see anymore on Instagram. So thank you, Substack. How has your experience been with the platform?
I'm really enjoying it. I think the first couple of months I was a bit slow and steady with it. And then, I don't know, maybe May, June, I kind of got more into my stride. I decided to use it for these sorts of facets of life experience, the things we consume that felt like they were pulling away from my Instagram, for example. That is quite niche and that is a big platform for me. But I think it was just the way I wanted to talk about these other things, artists I've seen in exhibitions or ideas, books, etc. So just having a space to do also long form content on Substack has just been really, really satisfying for me, I think. And I think that it just feels a different level of personal because we get more layers of a lot of people. I'm sure there are accounts out there that are very focused on like a narrow niche, but I think that is what I appreciate about it, that it doesn't have to be that. And I think there's a lot of success stories on Substack where people are being broad around the content that they put out. But on yours, what do you have as a regular rhythm? Do you have like regular columns or themes?
I do. And I'm still playing with it. I just was interesting. You asked me this question this morning. I was showing my partner, Sean, the growth, and certain articles seem to perform so well. And, one of the last two, how to price your art and how to work with galleries, got over like 60 and 70 subscribers, which is kind of how I built my business. So it kind of makes sense as to why people are drawn to that. But to your point, I also don't want to pigeonhole myself into only talking about the creative career or business because there's so much more to life. And yeah, it's this delicate balance of being consistent and being recognizable so that people can know what to expect from your publication, but also sort of allowing yourself the creative freedom to say, okay, well, what if I write on this or what if I share this? But I agree with you. I think the long form's been really good for my mental health because I love writing and showing up like this without being worried, like, oh, the algorithm's not going to like that. Like, it's just a really unhealthy programming that I think Instagram has instilled in us over the past decade. Like, it didn't start out that way, obviously, but it definitely turned into that. And I think this platform is a lot more forgiving. I think people are a lot more intelligent. No offense, but it's like this. When you're scrolling, it's almost like your brain shuts off. But when you are here engaging with meaningful words and posts and artwork, I do think it's requiring for you to be a little bit more of an intellectual, and that's definitely not a bad thing. I welcome that change for all of us to be more alert, aware, and receptive of people's actual thoughts,
I
Not
think
to diminish anyone who's creating fun content online. I think there's room for that too. But yeah, it's been interesting to see, and I'm curious to experiment with some other topics as well. And where do you see yourself going with your
Well, I just want to
publication?
add to your point, actually, that I think it is a more intentional platform because it allows us that long form content to be more nuanced in what we write about. So you don't get the rage bait kind of things where somebody doesn't quite understand it that you get over on social media, like even on Instagram, which is still short form, but not as short as things like, Threads and Twitter. So I think that it's that and that searchability of like, okay, if you like this article, it will throw up other recommendations, just like you have the Explorer for You page. But it's just done in a way that just feels more intentional. And like you say, more, yeah, there's a bit more kind of critical thinking required around it, right? And I do kind of enjoy this space for that. Sorry,
Yeah.
what was the question?
Oh, I was just asking you what do you think is next for you when it comes to this platform? Because traditionally in your business, you continue to coach artists on their careers in business as well as mindset. And what do you think you're going to focus on this platform? All of it, or are you thinking to go in a certain direction and stay with the audios?
So I'm really enjoying the mindset audio series that, like I said, that's a monthly. And so for me, that has been a rhythm that I'm now means I've got a bit of a commitment. So I know what anchors the cadence through, the content and the platform. So there is that part of it. But other than that, I think artwork that I like. So, if I go to an exhibition or I see, somebody comes up on my feed or whatever it is. So I think there's a bit more of getting my own aesthetic across and my thoughts and that sort of thing of shows. But for now, those are the main things. So obviously there will also be some our businessy content. which I'm thinking of like spinning out into its own publication so that that can stay there and that acts more evergreen. But yeah, I'm kind of open to seeing how it goes. Really, I
Mm,
don't feel the need to plan it out 6 months ahead or anything.
yeah,
And then, as with all the things, right, it becomes a case of like test something. Does it land? Does it? I feel like on this platform, I'm not obsessing over subscriber numbers. I mean, that's a good sort of point to add in here. I'm just letting it be me, the things that I'm interested in. And if you like that, then, come along for the ride and, we can speak in the comments section about it. But that's all it is. Whereas Instagram in recent years has definitely become a business tool, which it didn't start out as for me.
totally.
So that's kind of where it is. But I
I
wanted
love
to
that.
ask about something else. I talked about the mindset and the spiritual part of it earlier. And I know you have been working through the artist's way, it's always a good one to revisit. How is that
Hmm.
going for you?
Mm, yes, thanks for asking. And I really recommend this book to anyone. And it's funny, I saw a reel the other day that's had a bumper sticker on it that said, "Not finishing the artist's way is the artist's way." And many of us start, with good intentions because it is a classic and it is a book that changed so many lives. I mean, look at Danielle Chrissa, shout out to the Jealous Curator, who's also on Substack. She came back to her art thanks to that book. And so we know it works, we know it's great, but it is a deep dive into your sort of spiritual artist self. And so I decided to do it again. And in full transparency, there's been a lot going on. Business has been challenging for many of us, I think, the past few years. There's a lot of changes. And so for me, I was navigating my own business, but also the art world as an artist. I shared this with you privately, but I'm okay talking about it. Like, okay, my dreams as a 20-year-old used to be in the fancy New York City gallery. And we've been watching them close or mistreat artists or not pay them. And I've had my own share of experiences, that I'll maybe share one day. And so I just thought I needed a creative reset, and I actually am doing the thing. I think it's been over a month now that I've done the morning pages, and every week religiously an artist date, and it's been actually really transformative. So I'm always happy to talk about it, but it is, it's a mirror to yourself when you do this thing and you have to face the shadows and, whatever it's going on under the surface. But it's been actually really fun this round. So I'm proud of myself for sticking to it. And I will say I'm never not doing the morning pages. I'm curious, have you ever done the artist way yourself?
Well, first I want to say I'm really proud of you for sticking with
Thank
it
you.
for quite a long time. A month is great because I think a lot of artists start it and you get to day 5, 6, 7 and it's like, oh, I'll catch up tomorrow or I'll
I
do
did that before.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
which is true of so many things. Like, but so yeah, no, great job on that. And I know you've, sent me pictures from when you've been on your artist date and things. So
And
I
sitting
love
inside the creek. It's been really fun. You know what? One thing I'll quickly share about the artist date is it started off very lofty. I drove myself 2 hours to the beach, which I loved, and I don't regret it. I had the best day, and it was kind of like the artist date is epic, And then I went to the mall, and then I did I just went to the art supply store, and they had a huge sale. And then last week I went to the creek, and it was free. Going to the creek is absolutely free. You just park your car and you walk to the creek. And it was such a beautiful thing because each one of those artist dates were so special to me. Like I'm truly building a new relationship with myself. And it didn't matter how much money I spent or how beautiful the view was. Obviously, arguably the creek was very beautiful, but it wasn't like the beach or a gallery. So I just wanted to share that it's like, you just find the joy, and it was a reminder to myself that I don't need to reach my financial goals. I don't need to reach my art career goals to enjoy these little parts of life. I don't know. It was super super healing, and it made me feel richer, honestly. So highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Take yourself on an artist date.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
love
How about
that.
you?
So it
Have you
doesn't
done
need to
something?
be an elaborate thing, and it also doesn't need to be art related. It's nice if you infrequently go to galleries to actually then commit a day or a morning to go and do that. But the point of the artist day is to put yourself in whichever environment that you find conducive or new or refreshing, reviving, and
Yeah,
connect with that presence again, I
absolutely.
think.
Absolutely. And one of my artist dates for sure is going to be taking another surfing lesson, which, I love the ocean. So it's definitely going to be inspiring, but not directly in a creative sense. So, yeah, amazing. Have you done something like this before?
Not for a while. I mean, I do go on artist dates with myself sometimes, and that often means going to a particular restaurant for lunch and then
Yes.
walking around and being in the city and things like that. I mean, I live about 3 miles south of the centre of London. So, just going in there and just not going anywhere with a plan, I think, is part of it for me, is just being able to wander around, take in the vibe, the mood, see what's new has popped up, pop into some familiar places. All of that is my most common sort of artist date, I suppose. And I think I really need to kind of build that back into my week, actually, because it is very
Mm,
rejuvenating,
it
once you've
is.
been out there and things like that. On a
Yeah.
slight aside, talking about other things that feed us, what are you
Yeah.
reading at the moment, or what have you got on your reading list?
I'm reading so many things. Oh, I have a little bit of a books, like, what do you call that, bedside table problem. But I always read, I'm curious to hear what you're reading too. I always read a nonfiction, a fiction. We call them, like, smut. They're not actually smut. They're just like not something that you'll learn much from. And then, something like magazines I love as well. Especially this year, I really got back to magazines. I resubscribed to Gentlewoman, Delayed Gratification. I'm also a subscriber of Stack, which is from London, and they send me a different magazine each month, which I adore. I love, like, seeing new indie titles. But right now I'm reading The Gardener's Mindset, and I'm going to forget the author's name because I'm not familiar with him, but it's really beautiful. It's a series of essays about gardening, but they're written in a very sort of like personal narrative way, that it's not just like how to plant a bulb. It's more about this man's experience and his relationship with plants, and it's really cool. And what else am I reading? I have like a whole list, but that's the one that's like really sticking out. How about you?
Nice. I have some that I always return to all the time, or dip
Same.
into most days or most weeks. So that's some of the spiritual text, Bhagavad Gita, Neville Goddard, etc. But then I'm also at the moment I'm on a book called, I think it's called Bound or Unbound. Actually, I think it's Unbound. So that one I just started a few days ago, and that is about overcoming the people pleaser in you, and it's written by
Mm.
a former dominatrix.
Oh,
And
interesting.
and then the one that is on my list, which everybody on the internet is talking about, is called Salt, and that one is by Mark Kurlansky. So that one is a history of salt, but it
Oh,
goes through I think through the history as I understand it, from a economic, literary, heritage, and then obviously cuisine as well through the history of, through all these different ways. So I'm really
mm.
looking forward to getting into that one because, loads of people on the internet are talking about it, and it looks really good.
Yeah. That sounds like something right down Sean's alley. He has a book about like the history of wood and human, relationship with wood. As obviously it's such an important part of our life, but salt sounds really important too. We watch a lot of YouTube videos on historical channels about like cooking and and salt was such an important thing, and I'm curious that I'll add that to my list as well. That's
Yeah,
super
I believe the
inspiring.
author has written about a couple of other food. I mean, I don't know if he's exclusively a food historian, but it's worth looking him up and seeing what else he's got that might be, to your
Yeah.
flavor.
I love those kinds of books. There was a book that was sent to me for to review on our blog, and it was like the Dog's Gaze, and it was about dogs in art history, which was it's so interesting when someone can take a microcosm. Not that dogs aren't important. Obviously, I'm a dog mom. I love them, but it's something we kind of overlook. We don't focus specifically on a specific animal or object in art, but when someone zooms in like that, I find it fascinating. And salt too, like we think of salt as tiny things, but like thinking about it in the scope of the universe is pretty fascinating. So
I
I
think
adore that.
with the salt, I think in one of the reels I saw somebody talking about it, it was like, it's the only rock we eat. I thought,
That's
oh.
true.
And most people kind of know things like, oh, salt used to be used as a currency. But most people can't actually tell us when that was. Do you know what I mean? So I think being
Yeah.
able to go through some of that, I know there was the economic um, part of the, I suppose, British oppression, I guess, in India, and Gandhi kind of revolted against it. But again, I don't know the full story around that. And then in
Hmm.
Shakespeare as well, there's the I can't remember, is it in King Lear, and when one of the kings asks his daughters, like, how much do you love me? And she says, as much as salt. So that, it has all these kind of references that we know bits of, or we can recite or go, oh, yeah, that sounds familiar. But I think this book is going to take us down a really interesting route with
Hmm.
that. So,
I'll
so
definitely
yeah,
have to
well,
add
we can do
that.
a joint reading of that in the coming weeks. And
Yeah, no, I'm so ordering that. Sounds perfect. Amazing. Oh, Gita, I have to ask you, a lot of our audience and myself included, London is on my like next visit list next to Japan. Those are the two next locations I really want to go to and of course visit you and some of my friends. What's going on in London and is there anything exciting that you've recently seen or that you would love to bring attention to?
well, the summer exhibition at the Royal Academy is always worth seeing. I think it is, obviously the oldest open exhibition in the world, all that sort of thing, in this beautiful space. But I just think it is a really inclusive show as well. And I think, a lot of even though this one is curated by Ryan Gander, a lot of the other academicians have rooms that they have curated as well. And knowing some of these people or having crossed paths with them, they are very generous in wanting to include people that are at different career stages, all sorts of things. So I think it is really nice seeing that kind of taste and that inclusion that they really do try with that. So that is always worth it. I think that closes at the end of August or late August, 20
Mm.
something, I think. And then if you're there, then it's just going a little on the north side is Mayfair.
Yeah.
And there's always great stuff to see there. At the moment, actually, it might have finished. I don't know. Is Pilar Corias? I've got a great show with the artist. Might say it wrong. Have Karaman. She's a US based Persian artist. So yeah, there's some of my things. I think, but the summer basically on the art calendar is a case of like a lot of the small galleries will have group shows, summer shows. I mean, that is just the mood at the moment. We've just finished with the degree shows and end of year shows. So then it all starts opening up in September when the bigger museums start having then their, blockbuster shows and so on. So, there's definitely a rhythm to it. But I think at the second half of August is when quite a lot of central London galleries will close, not the museums, but the independent galleries. So, if you are in town visiting, that last kind of bit of August, then you do want to check some of the opening times and dates there.
Yeah, that sounds so exciting. I know. I can't wait to visit. It's just this year we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary, so I had to hold off again, but it's going to happen. Putting it out there in the universe, the perfect London trip. And I also, of course, when I see the British countryside too, it's
Oh, yeah.
something that I adore. So, yeah,
Tell
it's
me about
amazing.
the anniversary show. So you have an
Oh,
exhibition
yeah.
that is also celebrating 10 years of Create magazine. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So we are it's funny when I think about 10 years, I'm like, we're at the same time, it feels like a massive milestone and also like the beginning, It's funny when I thought, oh, when I get to 10 years, everything will be perfect. But it is great. I'm very grateful. So we are doing a pop-up show. It's only going to be up for, the opening, and we're doing it at Paradigm Arts Building in Philadelphia in Old City, which is a very special place, and I'm grateful that it's there. It's one of the first sort of art places that I visited as a young postgraduate. But we're going to bring together a few artists, including from the submissions from our art prize, which closes in a few days from now. And then we also will invite some artists that we've worked with in the past with PXP and other members of our community. As ambitious as I wanted to get with this show, because it's a pop-up, you have to kind of be a little bit more nimble. So we're going to focus more on local and regional artists for that, because it's not worth shipping your work across the ocean for a night. But I'm very excited. It's more about the community celebrating together. So we'll have our anthology, which I'm working on right now, is our 10-year sort of sampling of what previous artists we had. So we're putting together a book of that. And one of the things we asked them in this book is like, what have you been up to since getting published in the magazine? So it's been really cool to see everyone's achievements and hard work. But yeah, that's going to be October 16th, 2026, and everyone's welcome to stop by. It's free to attend. And yeah, we're expecting a full house. Alicia will be there. Maybe our writer Christina is going to fly down from Chicago. So very excited. And you're, of course, welcome to join us. I know it's a bit of a far journey for you, but and Gita, what do you have going on right now? Before we go today, how can people connect with you? What do you have happening?
So I am mostly found on Instagram. That is my main platform for anybody finding me on here for the first time.
Yes.
But at the moment, I am just putting together the behind the scenes of this new program that is 6 months. I think I mentioned at the start of this call, it's very much an implementation studio for artists who want to sell their work. So really, that is the thing that is taking up my time. It's taken me a good while to fine tune it to be, like I said, quite a niche in what the outcome would be, quite niche in the way that I can support you quite deeply with, getting your work into the marketplace, talking about your work, which will make it easier for people to be invited to podcasts and, YouTube bloggers and all that sort of thing. So, it's kind of interconnected because when we talk about comms and messaging, people think that, well, I've got my statement. What does that mean? But if you can't then hold a 20-minute conversation about it, what are we going to do? So it is, that is kind of what I'm really working on at the moment. I've got a wait list I implemented last week. The wait list the doors will open for the wait list in the coming week. So that is really what is taking up my time, and just presenting it in a way that it's very organized, figuring out what would be the group calls and stuff like that. So it's a bit logistical, it's a bit practical, and that is really kind of what is taking up my time at the moment. I've got one exhibition proposal that is being reviewed. So fingers crossed for that one, because I'm kind of hoping to hear about that in the next month or so. So we'll see if that happens, which would probably be for next year. And then on a more kind of immediate rhythm, I suppose, is just building out my Substack and letting that help me explore other facets that I want to be talking about and sharing about and things like that. How about you?
Whew. Well, right now we're finalizing our prize and our anniversary show details, but I am expanding a little bit, and I shared this with you, but I am sort of offering a different type of mentorship. Previously, I would help a lot of artists and creative, I guess more artist business, but I felt called to open it up more to people who want to build a media brand online. So people who want to start a Substack, a magazine, a podcast, these are all the things, memberships, courses. These are the things that I've been able to create around my mission to serve artists and celebrate emerging artists. But because it's been 10 years and there's some receipts, we've had some pretty cool things happen and grew the business, but now I do feel called to support that founder. So if anyone's interested, I am here, open to chat. And it's very limited, only take a handful of clients a year. But other than that, just seeing how we can serve people. I think right now Substack has been so fun to connect. It feels like and casting a spell of protection on this platform to stay this way. It feels like a very, people are of sound mind on here. People are kind and receptive and open-minded. So I really do appreciate it here. So that's another platform that I'm choosing to spend more time on here.
I mean, that is obviously hinting at some of the crazy comments we get. So maybe next time we will get some screenshots and then
let's share one just for giggles.
Look what this crazy sent me, and then
Oh my gosh, I'm going to share this because it's so silly, and I'm not going to call anyone out. I know everyone's on a different journey, but if you need a laugh today, last week we have something called ManyChat. Some of you who are in the online space might be familiar. And basically, it's just a really convenient way to send links to people in Instagram DMs. So you've probably seen the ads, or, if you comment burger, we'll send you a link to our restaurant. So we use it to send links to our Substack. And someone commented Substack to get the link. And when the link was delivered, they got very upset and they said, "How desperate are you for subscribers?" And I couldn't even be mad. I was just laughing. I sent it to Gita because I'm like, "You asked for the link. Why?" So that's just one of many examples of the things that Instagram gives us.
Well, this is it, like when you have a broad audience, it's like broad across range of experience, intelligence, critical thinking, talent, everything, it's,
Yes.
yeah.
And we do wish, sometimes I know, especially people who haven't grown up with the internet, it is a challenge. And I think there's a little bit of like almost a language barrier online. Things that we take for granted from being online all the time are not things that other people understand. But as a general rule of thumb, I think you should know to not lash out at strangers on the internet. It's pretty good practice to keep in mind, but I know no one on here will ever do that. So, well, Gita, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for attending our very first coffee chat. We're going to figure out how to make this live in the future. And until then, I hope you guys enjoy this. I think it's a recording. I'm pretty sure it is. But it's been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to having you back again soon.
Good to see you.
Bye.